What is up, Dynasty DNA Strand crew? Welcome back to another episode of the Dynasty DNA Roster Audits, episode 8. I'm your host, Wizz. Today I'm joined here by TJ Blake, like always. What's going on, TJ?
Oh, not too much, Wiz. As I told you earlier, I was installing turf carpet on a mini golf course. What an experience that was. I got sunburnt because, you know, my light skin, I just can't take the sun. But I'm not one of them people who have gingivitis like they say on South Park. That isn't true. It's just, you know, my family's from England and these kind of things happen. But yeah, it was quite the experience. And, you know, I even got to play mini golf when I was done. So I even got to test out our own fruits of our own labor. But, you know, that's what I do. That's what I tell people. Flooring installation by day, fantasy football by night. And here we are. We're back again, my friend. We're back again. You said this is episode 8. I can't believe it, but we're chewing these up. Everyone in the Discord. But we, you know, what the funny thing is, we get 1 or 2 done and we get 3 or 4 more submissions. So we're really going to keep after it. And, you know, you're up there in Alaska. I'm in Pennsylvania. Even time change can't stop Dynasty DNA.
Yeah, absolutely. And not all this 16 hours worth of sunlight I've been getting. So that's not stopping me, not slowing me down. You know,
Well, what's that movie in Alaska? It was like 40 Days of Night. It's like a vampire movie. It was set in Alaska. So you got to watch out for vampires up there, Wiz. I mean, you never know with these things.
oh, it's the part closer to Russia. That's on that far peninsula. I'm good. I'm close. I'm close to
good,
Canada,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah. It never hurts being close to Canada. Good beer, ice hockey, you know, good maple syrup. You're not too bad, shit.
Right. And, you know, before we get into this roster audit, TJ, you know, there's been a lot of news going down. I gotta know, which team are you on? Are you Team Drake or Team Kendrick Lamar?
Boy, I don't know. That's a tough choice. You know, I hate to pick either just because, you know, I mean, both them guys are past my generational time. I'm more of a 50 Cent guy, Eminem, you know, but I don't know. I mean, I probably say Drake by a hair, but I don't know how you feel about this, but I don't know. I probably go with him by hair just because I know who he is a little bit better.
Man, I hope this ends up on fantasy receipts.
Oh,
TJ Blake, Team Drake.
Don't wish that upon any. Don't wish that upon me, Wiz. I mean, you put me in a tough spot. You put me where I had to choose 1 or 2, and here we go. So, but you know, I'm in a jubilant mood. We're talking roster audits and watching playoff hockey. So,
Oh, absolutely. It's a good time of the year. Football season coming around the corner, but today we're going over C. Jeffers' roster. And so the format for the league is a super flex tight end premium. The direction he wants to go into is a contention. Anything else we should know? It's 4-point passing touchdown, so more so upper hand to the running quarterbacks here. And that's about all the information we have to go on his team. And on your screen here, you can kind of see this team that he has, which is, it's young, has a lot of talent here. The biggest problem here is, which I'm guessing a lot of people are watching can figure out, is that there's not much depth here. Not much to work with. Doesn't have a second quarterback in a super flex league, which is a big problem, right? So kind of going over what kind of moves we would go in to help you get into a better direction. So contending-wise, I don't think this is your season, C. Jeffers. You know, we went through it. We're going down the best possibilities, which at that point you're kind of really just trying to find I wouldn't even say like a pin in a haystack, you know, a needle in a haystack. That's even smaller than that. You're trying to find, like, I don't even know what's smaller than but it's just not good. Like
a flea in a haystack.
Yeah, and this flea, like, they just treated the whole entire area for fleas. Like, this is like how much luck you would need to get. Like, you're better off going to like local 7-Eleven and buying a scratcher and winning the lottery than like risking it all and trying to make this team contend. But kind of going over what kind of pieces we would move to help you kind of get in this retooling phase. Because like you said, or like I said, you know, you have a lot of good players on this team. Just the problem is, you know, you have Rome Odunze. That's kind of the JSN red shirt kind of year. You know, he's battling against Keenan Allen for targets. He's battling against DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift's gonna be involved in the pass catching game as well. You have JSN, which Tyler Lockett came back to. He's kind of the Grim Reaper now. He just keeps coming back, killing JSN's value and all of his upside in there. It's not looking good. Tank Dell got killed by Stephon Diggs coming in there. Like, there's a lot of targets. There's a lot of mouths to feed, not enough targets for a lot of your wide receivers here. So it kind of makes me hesitant to make a push. And you agree with that, right, TJ?
Oh, 110%. And just so everyone knows, Wiz and myself, we go over this like pre-show, usually for a half hour, 45 minutes. I mean, we look and exhaust all options. We bounce ideas back and forth. And you're 100% right, man. And I really like what you said. Like, unfortunately for you, C. Jeffers, the offseason hurt you bad. I mean, just as far as like some of your players, like, they had more opportunities. Now they don't have as many opportunities, unfortunately, because of players being brought in via the draft or trade. But I will say this, and I think you can agree with me, Wiz, looking at his team, what he has built, he has a nice core of starter-type players and some superstar-type guys. And he did do a good job in this past draft. C. Jeffers, pat yourself on the back. I mean, you ended up getting guys like Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze and Jalen McMillan and Jermaine Burton. And I mean, hey, don't discount those guys, because through our scouting process, and I think you even agree with this, Wiz, like, we like a lot of the same players, and we thought, these guys are solid players, your Jermaine Burtons, your Jalen McMillans. Like, one of them guys are going to get an opportunity, and I think they're going to take it and run with it. But I'm with Wiz. We just don't have enough depth right now, and what's really killing us is the quarterback 2 situation on your team, C. Jeffers. You don't have a quarterback 2 right now. You do have Sam Howell, who you did have last year, so that might have, helped things a little bit in that manner, but you didn't have Caleb Williams either. So, Sam Howell ended up in Seattle, being the backup as of now. That isn't a promising thing, but me and Wiz were talking, and this isn't so much as a rebuild. I think you just need to retool a little bit. Like, you got everything kind of in position, but we need to get some more draft capital for 2025. And we need to solidify that second quarterback spot. And I think our biggest thing on the list right away is to solidify that second quarterback slot. So me and Wiz were talking before the show. I think the first move that I would try to make personally, C. Jeffers, is with Gonzo 1992. He has a lot of quarterbacks on his roster. He's got Trevor Lawrence. He's got Kirk Cousins, J.J. McCarthy, Will Levis, Matt Stafford. So he's really got a really overcrowded quarterback room. So what I'm thinking here is his running backs are really weak. He's got Aaron Jones, James Conner. I mean, he's got some guys on the bench too, Jalen Warren, but nothing really too special. Brian Robinson, whose value got hurt by Austin Eckler. Nothing too special there. So this guy's got a good team. He's really deep at quarterback. So what we're thinking is, okay, we got to take one piece to try to get that second quarterback. And just like I do, Wiz, quarterbacks do not come cheap in Superflex leagues. I mean, you got to give something to get something. So what we're thinking right away, the first move is trading Breece Hall to Gonzo 1992 and getting Trevor Lawrence back in return. So if you can make that trade, I'm super happy with that, because you got Trevor Lawrence, you got Caleb Williams, you pair those two, you got your 2 quarterbacks, you got that all solidified. And I think that's the very first move I would like to make. And then we talked also, there's other guys out there like Jordan Love, Wiz, and Brock Purdy you brought up as well.
Right, absolutely. And, kind of like on the screen now, you can see the ADP ranges on here. And Breece Hall is going off at pick 17, right? Justin Herbert's at pick 15, so that could be another shot. I don't know who has Justin Herbert. I didn't really see that when we were pre-talking about this, TJ. Yeah. But Jordan Love's going 1 pick behind him, so that kind of gives me the hint that you could do that for a 1-for-1. Trevor Lawrence is he's going 10 picks later, so it's a full round, right? You should be able to maybe get a plus on top of that, right? Like get a 25-second, or you could package in like QJ, Quentin Johnston, just kind of one of your depth guys you don't really need, right? And try to get a 25 first, right? And kind of what I was really pushing for when we were talking about this before we started recording is that I'd rather just get all your RBs off your roster, right? I mean, Kendrick is fine; he could stay unless he shows something, and then you could trade him off mid-season, right? And the way my mind's kind of thinking is that QB running backs don't have that much of a shelf life, right? And we're about to come into a loaded class in 2025. And I'd rather just move Brees Hall, right? He's at close enough to peak value, right? He's RB3. Christian McCaffrey's somehow still going above Brees Hall, which is insane. I don't know if you get that kind of value in non-startup leagues. But to me, like that's crazy that Brees. I mean, Brees. TJ was saying, there's a clear argument to make him RB1 in Dynasty, especially after the season he came off with. But I'm fine with trading him, especially if I'm getting a quarterback. The 2025 draft class for quarterbacks is not looking good. We're looking at this pre-show. You have Carson Beck right now, which is projected the top guy in the class. If you watched 80 tape in Georgia, he's not that guy. Sanders, he could be that guy, but
pretty raw, needs developed. We've heard Dion say too, he wants him to go to certain teams. Like, I think that could be a nightmare just waiting to happen.
Right. And then you have Quinn Ewers at 3. Like, this says enough about the draft class just by looking at the top 3, and Jalen Monroe is 4. So for us to get you ready to compete in the 2025 season, get your quarterback to position figured out, right? And this is all playing that Caleb, balls out, or he shows enough that, oh, yep, he's locked in. He's my QB1. I just need QB2 now, right? And that's moving Brees Hall. I'd rather keep Justin Jefferson and Caleb Williams because I feel like that's going to be a nasty stack for the future. Or I guess not really a stack, but just a nice pairing to have on your roster, having the wide receiver 1. But, yeah, just look at moving Javonte as well. And then we were talking about that, TJ, that you want to go and trade your suggestion for Javonte if you could not get one of these other quarterback deals done with Brees.
Yeah, definitely. I want to move Javonte. You know how it is on Dynasty DNA. Unless your name Muscles, all of us want to trade Javonte Williams off and get as much as we possibly can for him. He's a guy that holds a lot of artificial Dynasty value, Javonte Williams. He's a guy that hasn't put up the numbers, but the community just can't let him go. Like, some players in Dynasty leagues don't value him as much, but a lot of people still value him fairly high for whatever reason. He hasn't really shown us anything. He's someone I really don't care for. But I'm looking at Team Eddie T90 here with Javonte Williams. I would knock on his door. I mean, he kind of needs some running back help as well. He's got Ramondre Stevenson, DeAndre Swift. Could I trade Javonte Williams to him straight up for a 2025 first? I mean, there are players out there that will accept that in Dynasty leagues. Maybe he won't. And then, like as Wizz said earlier, okay, if that doesn't work, could I kick him, Javonte Williams, and Quentin Johnson and get a 2025 first? I have no problem doing that either. I don't want Quentin Johnson on my roster. He's just, I mean, we said it pre-draft. He was Andy's pre-NFL draft sell at the wide receiver position. We knew they were going to bring someone in. They end up bringing in Lad McConkey. They still got Josh Palmer. And the fact that they signed DJ Chark should tell you all that you need to know about Quentin Johnson. I mean, he's just someone that I don't see, I think he's the next Treylon Burks, but, I might be disrespecting Treylon Burks by even saying that. So if you could trade that to Team Eddie 90T, I would say you try to get his 2025 first for Javonte Williams straight up. If he wouldn't do it, I'd be more than happy to kick Quentin Johnson in on that deal. So trade him as our maximum price, Javonte Williams, Quentin Johnson, and get Eddie T90's 2025 first. Because that's going to help you solidify what you have. Like we're going back to this. Like, this isn't a rebuild, right? This is a retool. You got to get that quarterback situation nailed down. Whether it's we trade for Brock Purdy or Trevor Lawrence using Brees Hall in some kind of deal like that, or Jordan Love, I don't mind any of that. Like, I think we got to do something like that. Honestly, C. Jeffers, like, you got to get one of these guys. Like I said, you got to give something to get something. And honest to God, in a Superflex league, I personally, and you know how I play with, I like to have 3 quarterbacks in Superflex leagues. I just do. I mean, I don't need the greatest third quarterback. I mean, I have guys like Derek Carr, Russell Wilson, but I like having somebody that's even a starter behind my 2 other guys if someone gets hurt. So you have to have 2 viable starters. And usually even your second guy, you got to have someone that's putting up around 20 points a game. So You get a guy like Trevor Lawrence, you get a guy like Jordan Love, you pair them with Caleb Williams, you got that problem solved. And, here's a little strategy for you as well, C. Jeffers. I know that Wizz and us were talking about this. Utilize the taxi squad, man. Like, I think your goal this year, honest to God, like, I know you want to win, and you're close. Like, you drafted a lot of good things here, and I like Justin Jefferson. I like your roster. You're headed in the right direction. But I would take the taxi squad, and I would put you drafted Jermaine Burton, Jalen McMillan. Them are guys that we liked later. Like, them are good later round receivers that you picked. Like, good job. Big ups to you. Like, I'm impressed with that. I would take those guys, stash them on my taxi squad. Don't even bring them off the taxi squad this year, and just let them sit there and, and try to get as high a draft pick as possible. Like, I try to call it tanking without tanking. Like, I don't ever encourage tanking because, like, I think that ruins dynasty leagues. But comes a point where you can strategically do this to where it's like, I'll put out a fair lineup, but I'm still trying to look out for the best interest of my team. How do you feel about that, Wiz?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was talking. The only way I would not do this right, for one, is if the commissioner and everyone's throwing a big fit about it. I might bring up my point of view and be like, look, you shouldn't be able to force people off your taxi roster, especially since I have to drop someone now on my lineup, on my team, to create that spot open for them, right? The only caveat to that is if you have year-round taxi, right, where you can move people up and down the taxi squad all year, that's when I would not do this strategy because you have no real good argument against it there. But other than that, I mean, I don't have a problem with it, and I commission probably like 12-ish, 10-ish leagues. I'm pretty active with a lot of them. And I'll do this, and other people, I'll be like, look, if that's the strategy you want to do, that's 100% fine. That's within the guidelines and my rules of what I define as tanking, right? So.
Yeah, and I don't get ignorant or belligerent with it. Like, I wouldn't put Rome Odunze down. I'd probably keep him up. And honestly, like, I kind of like the way your team is as far as like helping you get a higher pick next year because you got guys like JSN. We know he's stuck behind Tyler Lockett, like Wiz said, and DK Metcalf. How productive is he going to be next year? I mean, I still think it's going to be tough for him. We got Rome Odunze in that offense. Like, he's a great prospect, talented receiver, love him, but he's behind Keenan Allen and DJ Moore right now. I mean, that's a tough nut to crack for a rookie. So. Might not put up a huge amount of points. So you can keep them guys up, play them. I think you'll be fine. They shouldn't get mega points because we're trading these running backs off our roster, and we're trying to go for 2025 because honest to God, C. Jeffers, if you do this right with the draft you just had and the pieces you have now, if you trade Breece Hall and get one of them quarterbacks like we're talking about, you get that quarterback 2 solidified, and then you focus on the 2025 draft, and then you let these other guys keep developing your JSNs, your Rome Odunzes. I mean, you're going to have something here. I mean, you already got Justin Jefferson. You got Caleb Williams. It's a hell of a talent. I mean, all you got to do is start backfilling the running back position and get some more receiver depth. And I think you're doing that with making picks like Jermaine Burton and Jalen McMillan. Them are good picks. But there is one guy on your bench, and I was talking to Wiz about this, and I want to bring it up. It's Sam Howell. You have him down there, and I'm telling you right now, he's one of the most polarizing players right now in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Wiz liked it earlier. I said he kind of reminds me of Jameis Winston. I mean, he'll throw the ball downfield. You don't know where it's going to go, but he will throw it down the field. And what Seattle is going to – Seattle, the situation, Geno Smith was kind of on the hot seat last year, right? It didn't go well. He's someone that we all really don't believe in here at Dynasty DNA, Geno Smith. I'm happy for him. He got a nice contract. He had one great year. Sometimes guys can get hot like this. We seen Josh Dobbs do it last year. We seen him do it with the Cardinals and then a game or so for the Vikings. So, big props to Geno Smith. And I don't think his time's long for being the starter in Seattle. And I do think Sam Howell is going to get an opportunity. And I said this to Wiz. You got to capitalize on this, C. Jeffers. If Sam Howell comes out and let's say he starts in a Week 7 game, and he throws for 400 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns, and JSN has a nice game, I am selling Sam Howell and getting at least a first because I think you'll get it at that point because he's one of these guys that like has a fan club to him. Like, you know, like not everyone loves him, but there are people out there that like from last year that like just, wow, like they see him throw the ball. Like, and he's an air raid passer, but he's just not real good at taking care of the ball, which isn't very attractive to an NFL team for a long-term starter. It's good for fantasy points. Ask Jameis Winston. But, you know, as far as being a long-time starter in the NFL, you know, he's someone that, you know, I'm going to take advantage of that the moment, as soon as that happens. And I'm almost 90% sure it's going to happen. I'm not saying he's going to play well, but I think he's going to start at some point this season. And if he does have that big game, I'm selling and trying to get a first at least out of Sam Howell. And I think you can get it at that point. But how do you feel about that, Wiz?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good shout out by you, TJ. And also, C. Jeffers, what I would do is kind of start clearing out your roster of all your roster cloggers, right? Kyle Trask, he's not that guy. I'm surprised he's still on the Bucks. Malik Willis, not that guy either. You know, these guys are all clear to cut. I mean, Zach Wilson, pretty sure he's not that guy, but he's fine to stay on the roster. You know, maybe he wins the job with Bo Nix. Who knows? There's crazier things that happen in the NFL. KJ Hamler, probably easy drop as well. I don't see him doing much. Keyshawn Boutte, you could drop him as well. And then Sean Clifford and Zach Kuhns, I'd probably be able to drop those guys too. I don't think Sean Clifford's very good at all.
No. And then play the waiver wire for running backs. I mean, we've seen it last year. I mean, you can get someone off the waiver wire, and if they take off, you could trade them for a 25-second.
Yeah.
You know, and we know, as Wiz said earlier, the 25 class is not good for quarterbacks unless someone comes out of nowhere. But as far as running backs go, it was weaker this year. Next year, it's looking better. So that's where you're going to try to get your running backs filled back in. And another thing is, too, like going back on these taxi squad players one more time. I'm taxi squadding Jermaine Burton. I'm taxi squadding Jalen McMillan if I can. Ben Sinnott, which big props to you. Like, I'm not a big Ben Sinnott guy, but as Ty said on the Fantasy Feud, Washington develops tight ends. I mean, we've seen him do it. Chris, you go back to Chris Cooley, and, you know, when he threw that name out there, I'm like, man, Ty is – I'll tell you what, he's a historian of the game. He goes back to Chris Cooley, Logan Thomas. I mean, all these guys, you know, that Washington Commanders have had, and Jordan Reed, they develop guys like this. I mean, so Ben Sinnott, I mean, they must have seen something in there that they liked about him. But I'm putting him on the taxi squad, and like Isaiah Likely, I'm going to try to trade him for any kind of draft capital I can get. I think if Mark Andrews goes down, maybe you wait. Like, I don't wish bad on Mark Andrews. I like him. I know Wiz is a Raven fan. He knows I wouldn't do that to him. So if something were to happen and Mark Andrews would get hurt, trade Isaiah Likely for a second, because I'll tell you what, Likely is, I mean, when he's playing, you know, so you could probably get a second. Michael Mayer, I'm taking a third. I mean, if someone's willing to give me a third, I'm just going to try to get him off my roster. With Brock Bowers there, that killed him completely. He was someone we didn't like through the whole draft process. We just said he's more of an NFL guy than a fantasy guy or a high-end offensive player. He's just a better football player than he is a stat machine. So can you get a third out of him? Jalen Hyatt, same thing. Can I get a third? I mean, he's someone that obviously you're not going to cut. But I'm like Wiz. Them guys that Wiz brought up, just get them off your roster. They're roster cloggers. And then just try to play the waiver wire as much as you can, and maybe you can pick some value off there and flip them for more picks.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, just kind of take some dart throws at some running backs that are, you know, drafted or undrafted. They're signed on teams now. Ali from Baltimore is a big one I'm in on right now. He's kind of going in the 4th and 5th rounds in rookie drafts. Couldn't speak right there. I was like trying to form my thoughts. But, you know,
Tyrone Tracy from the Giants.
Yeah, Tyrone Tracy. That's another good one. I kind of liked Jahar Jordan, running back out of Louisville. I thought he was the better running back out of Louisville, but Isaiah Guerrero. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I got Ty. He tells me how to pronounce all the names.
Yeah, I need me a Ty. That's the problem.
Yeah. Our official translator at Dynasty DNA.
Right. You know, just kind of take those jabs, right? Like, I think Ali could easily take over that Justice Hill role in Baltimore. I saw Keaton Mitchell. I saw the role for him last season, and I said that early in the Discord. I was like, out of all these cuffs you want in Baltimore, Keaton Mitchell's the guy. I mean, unfortunately, he tore his ACL, but he was holding value for the longest time, even after ACL, which is crazy for a 6th-round running back. I think he was 6th round, 7th-round
Yeah.
running back. But just take those dart throws in those guys, right? I missed a bunch of them, like Elijah Dotson. I was like, he could turn into something. He blew up in preseason. I could have sold him for a third, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna hold off for the NFL season here. And Eckler got hurt. I was like, oh, here it comes, and it just never happened, right? Those
Right.
are dart throws that's okay to miss on, right? They're free. They're free dart throws. I'd also add Joe Flacco being backup quarterback to the Colts if he's not already on a roster. Anthony Richardson is not been able to stay healthy, so keep that in mind. Jameis Winston is another good add if he's on the waiver wires. Deshaun Watson does not want to play football.
He got his money. He got his money.
He got his money. He got his money. And that's what happens when bad franchises keep making bad decisions. Sucks for the fan bases of Cleveland, but that's just how it is, I guess, for them. And they just signed Jerry Jeudy, that massive contract as well. So, just make those dart throws essentially, and take those higher end cuffs there. I don't know who's the Jets backup quarterback. I'm guessing they brought someone in after the Zach Wilson experience.
Tyrod Taylor.
Oh.
But if he's on the wire, pick him up. Another one I like is Jordan Travis, the kid out of Florida State. They did pick him too, the Jets. I mean, if you have, like, after you unclog your roster, pick up Tyrod Taylor and Jordan Travis. I mean, you never know.
Right, and then at this point, like, you're just kind of taking those dart throws, and if they hit, trade them off midseason to a contender, right? Take a 3rd, 2nd round. Doesn't matter. Just don't be over greedy with it, kind of like how I was with Elijah Dotson. I mean, this was preseason, but I didn't care. I was like, even on contender rosters, I had him on there because I cleared out my roster from roster cloggers. Just keep in mind, just keep in mind of where your roster's at as well. It's good advice, especially in rebuilds, retooling, or just competing for that year, right? I mean, I had Keaton Mitchell in a bunch of leagues, and that helped me. It did not help me because he tore his ACL, but it could have helped me. That's the moral of the story here.
Yep, definitely. And I think that's great advice, Wiz, and I'm glad you said that. Like, we got to get rid of them roster cloggers, play the waiver wire, and that'll really help you too. So I'm going to go over this one more time for C. Jeffers. Number one priority, get that quarterback 2 situation solidified. Once you do that, you're going to put yourself in a chance to win down the road in every game you're in. Whether you go out and you trade Breece Hall in a trade, like we said, for the team that has Trevor Lawrence, I think it was Gonzo 1992, that's fine. I would go with Trevor Lawrence. If you could get Jordan Love for Breece Hall, do it. Then you got your quarterback 2 situation solidified. I know it stings giving up Breece Hall, but he's not going to help you win a championship right now the way your team is, but he can help you get there by the piece you get back, and that's your quarterback 2. That's move number 1. Move number 2 is I'm trading Javonte Williams, and it don't even have to be Eddie. Like, I would just shop around, see Jeffers, like, to running back needy teams. That's just one that we noticed. But I would easily try to get Javonte off my roster for a 2025 first. I don't care where the 2025 first is. It could be random to me. I just want him gone. I think this is the peak value for Javonte Williams. And again, if that doesn't work, trade Quentin Johnston with him. Now, I will say this. If you are lucky enough to trade Javonte for a single 2025 first, I would shop Quentin Johnston around to any other team for a 2025 second. Anywhere I could get it from any other team, do that. So I think that solidifies your trade moves for now. And then, like Wiz said, let's play the taxi squad. Let's play the roster. Let's get everything, the cloggers going, play the waiver wire, and then we can trade maybe some more guys off like Isaiah Likely, Michael Mayer, get more draft capital. And then you're going to be coming into 2025, and your roster is going to be looking good. You make a couple right draft picks in 2025, you're going to be right there. I mean, you're going to be right there coming in 2025 and 2026, and not just for 1 year, C. Jeffers. That's the point. Like, when we try to do this, unless you're a super win now roster, like we see a roster where it's like, okay, everyone's around 28, 32 years old, like, okay, we're going to try pushing all of our chips in the middle of the table because you can fit an index card through the window that you have. And sometimes it pays off. But like in your situation, the way your roster is, the way you build it up, all we got to do is make a couple right moves. And not only could you compete for 1 year, I think with the roster you have, you could compete for at least 3 to 5 years. Do you agree with that, Wiz?
Yeah, absolutely. And your team's shaping up to be a powerhouse. You just got unlucky with a lot of the free agency landings. Keenan Allen going to the Bears drafting Odunze. I think that's going to be great for his long-term value. And that's where your kind of roster is going right now. It's heading more towards, I have all this value right now, but it's going to pay off down the road. And that's why, we're trying to move running backs off your roster because they don't last long. If they get injured, their value is going to go down so bad. If Breece Hall tears his ACL first game of the season or whatever game, right, doesn't matter. His value is going to plummet. And everyone's going to be like, oh, gosh, that's why we don't like running back, zero RB strategy. It's a little bit silly, but that's just how everyone plays Dynasty. No one wants that 27-year-old RB, 26-year-old RB with 2 ACL tears. It scares them off.
Yep, and it's just like same with Javonte Williams. Like, this is it. Like, you got to trade him this year, C. Jeffers, because if you don't, you won't get nothing for him because he'll come out and he'll be RB probably 18 or maybe like 20 again. And then the value is just going to completely plummet out of it because we're going to be heading into year 4. He'll be off the Broncos, and then they won't. That'll be it. He'll be a free agent, and he'll probably be a handcuff somewhere. So this is the time if you can get all them guys for like all the moves we told you. I think them are great moves. And I will say this: don't be discouraged because I know. Look, we all want to win, but you got to go about it the right way. But I'm telling you, pat yourself on the back because you've built a nice roster. You just need to get a little bit more help. But once you get it, I think you'll be right there.
Absolutely. But thank you, C. Jeffers, for the submission. Anyone else wants their rosters audited and kind of help you give a direction on where to go, you can find that in our Discord, right? We have a tab underneath there. And all you have to do is fill out a Google Forms in there, which I think I might add a few more things on there to help make this process a little bit easier for us because I know in the beginning it was a little bit of a struggle, TJ, from me not knowing how to record my audio on my computer here to not having enough information where we're like, I don't know if this is the right roster or not, So
you figured it out. You're the you're the tech whiz of Dynasty. You're not only Dynasty Whiz, you're the tech whiz of Dynasty DNA.
I don't know about that now, but I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, but you can go ahead and follow me on Twitter at DynastyWizFF. You also follow TJ on Twitter at FFTJBlakeDNA. You also follow Dynasty DNA's main Twitter at DynastyDNA_. Their new podcast should be up tonight, right, TJ?
Yep. Coming out tomorrow, post NFL draft buys. And just a little teaser, Muscles and Ty are still arguing about some players in Denver. I ain't going to mention any names. You guys will have to tune in and check it out.
Absolutely. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Adios.
See ya.